Hey guys, Miss Whitmore here with your Decimal Lessons 3 lesson. We're kind of coming towards the end of this unit as a whole, so make sure that if there's anything that's unclear that you're coming to me and letting me know that things are challenging, because they kind of all build off of each other, and we want to make sure there's no gaps in your knowledge, or that if you're not getting one thing that will mean you're not getting the next. So please let me know if I can help you in any way. So far we've learned the place value of decimals, the value of decimals, so what are they worth, comparing them, trying to figure out which ones are bigger and smaller, naming decimals, and adding decimals. What we're doing this lesson is we're going to review adding decimals to make sure we kind of have that down, and then we're also going to learn how to subtract decimals. So we learned that when we add decimals, it's identical to how we add numbers that don't have decimals involved. So things to remember were we want to line up the decimals, we want to line up the numbers, we want to add as if we're adding normally, and we always want to start from our right hand side or our smallest place value numbers and move up that way, or move to the left. So if we look at this example over here, we have the decimals aligned, we have our numbers aligned as best as I can on this computer. And then we're going to start from the right hand side and go 6 plus 1, this should be 7, so it gives us 7. And then we have 5 plus 2 gives us 7. We drop our decimal, 0 plus 0 is 0. And then over on this question here, where we have a little bit of regrouping involved, we're going to go 4 plus 8 gives us 12. So we put our 2 at the bottom here and our 1 above, just like we would do normally. And then we go 1 plus 3 plus 0 gives us 4. We drop our decimal, like always. And then we go 2 plus 1 is 3. Now, when we go into subtracting, I have some great news. When we subtract, it's the same as when we subtract when there aren't decimals involved. So we also want to remember to line up our decimals, line up the numbers. I clearly didn't change this to subtract, but we want to subtract like we normally would when they're not involved, and we always want to start subtracting, or in general most math that we do, we start from the smallest place value or the right hand side here. So if we look over this question here, I tried to align my numbers as best I could, but it's challenging on a computer, but our decimals are lined up as best as they can be, and so are our numbers. So we start from our right hand side here and we go 2 subtract 0 gives us 2. 8 subtract 1 gives us 7. Drop our decimal, 3 subtract 2 gives us 1. Over on this side here, where we do have some borrowing involved, we start from our right hand side where we go 2 subtract 9. Doesn't work. You can't take 9 away from 2 because you only have 2 to begin with. So we have to go over here and borrow a tenth, or I guess, a tenth from the tenths place value, bring it over here to give this a value of 12. And then we go 12 subtract 9 gives us 3. Now because we borrowed 1 from over here, we only have 1 left. We only have 1 tenth left. So we'll go 1 subtract 0 gives us 1. We drop our decimal. 8 subtract 5 is 3. Now normally I would spend way more time on kind of the value of these guys up here when we're borrowing or regrouping or anything, but we did do this already when we were looking at adding previously, and the idea is the same when we borrow and regroup. It's just these ones aren't worth tens or hundreds, they're worth tenths or hundredths. So all that's changed is the place value, but your understanding of how it works is exactly the same, and the procedure's the same. So I want to go through these. I want you to see if you can tell me what I did wrong. So I'm going to pause here for maybe like 20 seconds. I want you to just see if you can see what I did incorrectly. If you need more time when I get started again, just pause the video and then press play when you're ready to see if you got it correct. All right, so pause the video here if you don't want to hear the answer, but what it was is I didn't line up my decimals. So instead of my 0 being here and my decimal being here, I kind of have everything moved over because I don't have a 0 here, which is just normally there. If you don't write it, you can assume there's a 0 there. So what happened is I got the wrong answer because of that. So I was subtracting the wrong numbers with each other. Okay. Now I'm going to give you some time for this one as well. Alright, so again, pause the video if you don't want to hear, but what I did incorrectly was when I subtracted, I didn't borrow. So 4 subtract 9 is not 5. I can't take 9 things away if I only have 4 to begin with. So what I should have done is gone through and borrowed. So hopefully you saw that, but that's okay. That could have been a bit of a tough one to spot. This is our last one. So this one's challenging. So try to see as best you can what I did wrong with this one. All right, so once again, pause if you need to. But I will tell you what was wrong, and I'm going to be super impressed if you could actually figure it out. But so what I did was I didn't start from the right-hand side. I actually started, or yeah, I didn't start from the right-hand side. I started from the left. So I went 4 subtract 2 gives me 2. I did drop the decimal. Then I went 2 subtract 0. But here I went 2 subtract 3, which doesn't work because I can't take 3 away from 2. But now, because I've started the wrong way, I can't borrow from it anywhere because I've already gone through and subtracted these numbers. So then I just decided, oh, well, I'm going to go 2 subtract 3 gives me 1. I'm not really sure why this 1 was here. I didn't put it there. So I'm sorry if that confused you even more. Yeah, so hopefully you saw that and were able to figure it out, but it's okay if you didn't. That was kind of a weird one in the first place. Please make sure that you're doing, there's a decimals quiz I've given you. And remember, these quizzes are always just to tell me what are certain things that our class needs to go over again. It's to like inform my teaching more than anything. So be honest when you're doing these tests, guys. It's really not going to hurt you. So do your best, and I will see you next time for your next lesson. Have a great week, you guys.